This is Gregg Patterson with Arkansas Farm Bureau. And on this edition of Arkansas AgCast, we're talking with Margaret Worthington. She's an assistant professor of fruit breeding and genetics for the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. And Margaret, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you were recently recognized with an award from, or recognition from Fruit Grower News, and that gave me the idea we ought to call Margaret and find out what kind of research she's been doing lately. So I'd like to just kind of touch base with you and get a synopsis of what's going on at the Fruit Research Station. And you and I were talking earlier, and you mentioned something about peaches that was coming up. What's going on with peaches?
Well, we're at the height of field season, so out there evaluating a lot of peaches and nectarines this time of year, all the new breeding selections, and we have a pipeline with seedlings every year from new crosses that we make, things in the middle of the pipeline that are looking promising, all the way up to advanced replicated trials. And we have one that is looking particularly good. So I think we'll end up pulling the trigger and having a new early season peach variety on the market this winter.
Well, and part of what you're doing with your research, as you mentioned, this will be an early season variety, and tell folks, you know, how you try and lengthen out a peach season for growers so they have more opportunity to earn income.
Well, sure. You know, this program, the peach breeding program here at the University of Arkansas, started focusing on canning peaches. And then in about the 1990s, when the canning peach industry in the eastern U.S. was going down and moving towards California, we shift focus to working on fresh market peaches and nectarines, and particularly on having disease-resistant material that's adapted to the East. And at that time, all other programs in the region were focused on standard acid yellow peaches. And so we really tried to put a focus on developing some white peaches and nectarines to complement those and to have availability of different peach selections throughout the season. So, you know, peaches are delicious and they get nice and soft and kind of fall apart in your mouth. So they don't hold up super well like apples. And that means that we have to have a lot of different varieties that ripen at different times to fill that season. So now we have things like White County, which is a real successful white peach for us that ripens about this time of year, but we didn't have a really nice melting flesh white peach for early in the season. And so we hope this new release will fill that niche for something that will ripen in around Clarksville mid-June.
Well, that sounds great. I know the growers are probably excited about that. What's going on with muscadines? You've also been working with muscadines too.
Yeah, I grew up in eastern North Carolina, and muscadines are very popular there, and they are my #1 favorite fruit. So I was real excited when Dr. Clark turned over the reins of the muscadine breeding program to me. So now I'm leading muscadine breeding here. To me, the most exciting thing that we're doing is partnering with the private company Gardens Alive on developing seedless muscadines. Anybody who's had muscadines knows that they have big old seeds that are super bitter. And so we hope to make muscadine eating a more sophisticated indoor process and requiring less spitting. So we're going to get rid of the seeds, and we're also working on improving the texture. I really like muscadine's traditional texture and flavor, but I know that they can be polarizing. And so we'd like to have a muscadine that has a texture that's a little bit more similar to what people are accustomed to with a table grape, with a thinner skin and firmer flesh. So a muscadine even a Yankee could love.
Well, we would definitely be looking forward to that. And then finally, let's wrap up by talking about blackberries. I mean, the Fruit Research Station's famous for coming up with blackberries.
Yeah, here at the Fruit Research Station, we have had breeding programs for a number of different crops over the years, but blackberries has always been our flagship program. That's been where we've had the biggest commercial impact. So Dr. John Clark is still leading our applied blackberry breeding program, and I am having a really great opportunity working so closely with him and getting to know the program so that when he does retire in about 2.5 years, that there should be like a really smooth, seamless transition where none of our partners are affected, and we've still got a nice pipeline of activities coming out. So we've done a couple things to get me involved in blackberries. I've done a lot of genetics research. You know, I'm primarily a field breeder and I'm focused on cultivar development, but I also have some background in molecular breeding. So I have a big federal grant working on understanding the genetics behind fruit firmness in blackberries. The idea there is that we have a big range of fruit firmness. We have some selections that have kind of a crispy texture where it's, to me, is like a pomegranate aril or something. It's a pleasant sensation, but they hold up much better in storage. We like the idea that you might be able to leave them on the plant a little bit longer and have fewer picks per week. There's a lot of benefits to having a firmer blackberry, so we're excited about working on the genetics of that, and hopefully we can develop molecular markers that can help us to plan crosses and find new winners more effectively and efficiently with that process. And we're also interested in the genetics of primocane fruiting, internode length, a bunch of different traits. So that's one area where I'm getting involved. The other area is in our novel breeding program. So we have, we've had a breeding program for a couple of years now, focused on developing short-statured blackberry plants. This is both for the ornamental market, for like patio plants, that a cute little blackberry that a homeowner can stick in a patio plant in their yard. And baby cakes is the product of our breeding in that area so far. But we also think that there might be some commercial aspect to these short-statured blackberries, that they might work better in some more high-density production systems. So I'm partnering with Ryan Dixon, our controlled environment agriculture specialist, on some efforts there. So I'm excited to be leading our dwarf or novel blackberry breeding program now.
Well, really good news coming out of the Fruit Research Station. She is Margaret Worthington, an assistant professor of fruit breeding and genetics with the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. Thank you so much for the update, and congratulations on your recognition with the award as well.
Thank you so much, Greg. My pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.